I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hosky, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Mrs. Poser. Here. Mrs. Maines. Here. Mr. McCommons. Here. Mr. Music.
Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Mrs. Surratt. Here. Dr. Zorch.
Virtually present.
And Mr. LaCasio.
Here. I'm going to ask at this time if we could have a moment of silence for one of our senior high school social studies teachers, Jerry Ferraro. Jerry passed away this morning, so if we could please have a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, we will have the superintendent's update.
Thank you. Good evening. As Mr. LaCasio just stated, Greater Latrobe School District lost a wonderful teacher today. Mr. Jerry Ferraro, who was a social studies teacher at our senior high school. He was hired in 1999. In fact, it was the same year I was hired here at Greater Latrobe. Jerry made a huge positive impact on so many lives. Mr. Ferraro fought a courageous battle against cancer for the past 3 years. He will be deeply missed by our entire school community. Greater Latrobe School District holds his family in our thoughts and prayers during this most difficult time. Mr. Ferraro, you will not be forgotten. We are closing in on the first quarter here at Greater Latrobe. It's hard to believe. There have been questions have been raised as to why we have not closed our buildings due to an increase of positive COVID cases. And I want to go through some of our procedures and the reasoning behind that. First off, when we are alerted of a positive case, our administrative team immediately begins contact tracing and contacts the Department of Health. With this contact tracing, if you contact the Department of Health, obviously they would assist in that tracing, but there are actually only 2 representatives in our entire county who conduct the contact tracing for all school districts, and including our career and technology centers as well. So our administrative team, as soon as we hear that there is a case, immediately we do the interviews with the positive case to determine who would be considered a close contact, meaning who would have been within 6 feet for 15 minutes or longer with that individual. I can tell you that our contact tracing, it is completed by the end of the school day. If we get the call, obviously during the school day. If we are notified of a positive case during the weekend, the same procedure is followed by our administrative team. So all individuals that could be close contacts are contacted prior to opening our schools on Monday. The close contacts are immediately removed from our schools, asked to stay home, and students are quarantined, and they begin participating in Greater Latrobe School District online. All the positive cases and our close contacts, as I stated, are reported to the Department of Health. However, the Department of Health works daily with Mrs. Galovish, who's our pandemic coordinator, to confirm our process and the accuracy of our contact tracing, and confirms in writing to Mrs. Galovish, our pandemic coordinator, that the appropriate steps and the correct quarantine dates have been followed. and that the information has been relayed to the individuals identified as a close contact. Additionally, with that, our buildings and classrooms are deep cleaned every night. The question comes up, why aren't you closing to deep clean your classrooms? They are not only deep cleaned nightly, if needed, teachers have relocated to another location to continue the cleaning process. At Greater Latrobe, each case and every case in every school district, but in Greater Latrobe especially, I'd like to explain that every case and situation varies and it is different. We ask, what's the number? How many more cases are you going to have? When we do our contact tracing and with our positive cases, at Greater Latrobe, we have found that the source of infection and contraction is not amongst our student population. There are several situations where students may have been positive from contact with family members and outside individuals. So therefore, we are not seeing the spread from student to student in our buildings. We are able to collect the data, do the contact tracing, participate in the interviews with parents, Department of Health, and collectively come to the decision on our cases to determine where we are and what that looks like for the Greater Latrobe School District. I know there are districts who have closed. I speak with the superintendents. In fact, I had a Google Meet today with superintendents. Some of the schools are closed because they have staff that are quarantined and they are unable to have staff or teachers in their classrooms, so they have no choice. There are others who may be having their cleaning staff or custodial staff in quarantine as well. There may be others that have a large outbreak in one of their buildings, which is the spread within their personal school community. So I just wanted to explain that and make certain that individuals understand we are taking this extremely cautiously and looking at every case uniquely. As you are aware, on Monday, Westmoreland County was designated as a county having a substantial level of community transmission. The Westmoreland County superintendents and directors of career and technology centers participated in a Zoom meeting yesterday, which was Monday, with representatives from the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Pennsylvania Department of Health to discuss the instructional model for our schools in our county during a designated substantial level of community transmission. When a county reaches a substantial level of transmission, which is 100 or greater positive cases out of 100,000 residents, or a percent positivity rate of 10% or more. This past week, our county transmission rate was 140 cases out of 100,000 residents with a positivity rate of 8.9%. And that was reported to the superintendents yesterday with our Zoom conference with the Department of Health and the Pennsylvania Department of Education. That is why Westmoreland County is in the substantial level of transmission. However, the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Department of Health do not advocate for changing instructional models after 1 week of a county being in a substantial transmission rate. We have been advised to wait until next Monday, October 26th, to see if the county remains at a substantial transmission rate. If Westmoreland County remains at a substantial transmission rate next week, it is quite possible the Greater Latrobe School District will move to a full remote or online instructional model by the conclusion of next week, being that next Friday, if we are in a substantial level of transmission again next week, our brick and mortar classes would complete next Friday, October 30th. Obviously, parents would be notified as soon as this decision is made in order to plan for family needs. Again, this decision is not being made this evening as we are waiting for the information from the Pennsylvania Department of Health and Department of Education Monday morning. We will continue to meet and discuss Westmoreland County as well as the Greater Latrobe School District's positivity rates with the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Pennsylvania Department of Health, as well as our local medical team, before making a final determination regarding a change in our current instructional model. Also, please note that we added a COVID-19 headline on our district website that includes all current positive and inactive COVID cases in the Greater Latrobe School Districts. During this time, our teachers, staff, and administrative team continue to work diligently to provide the best possible instruction for all of our students during this pandemic. Thank you.
One question, if I may.
Sure.
Did they, when you talked to, at the Zoom meeting yesterday, did they talk about the impact of the prison and Westmoreland Manor?
I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Mr. Palmer had asked, I don't know if Dr. Zorch can hear, did they talk about the impact of the prison or the impact of Westmoreland Manor? And that was brought up, and we asked if that data was disaggregated for school positive cases, and it was not. They said that they know the numbers, et cetera, with the county and with the, the prison, as well as the manor, but they did not have the exact numbers that they were able to tell us pertaining to school district cases with students or staff.
So they had the numbers, but wouldn't share them with us as to the 140 people per 100,000 in the population.
They did not share them. That was asked specifically by a superintendent.
That makes no sense at all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Again, that's why we're looking at all the data, every case.
So where are communities being penalized because of it?
There are large numbers, yes. And I'm certain that that will be asked again Monday. We have a meeting if we are at substantial then. And I'll be certain to ask as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I believe that during that, they talked about the numbers, but they also talked about the fact that the healthcare workers and the workers in both of those facilities are a part of our community, so they felt they couldn't completely discount the numbers.
I get that part of it, but they're professionals. I know. They know what they're doing.
I don't disagree.
I believe that they stay safe.
Didn't let me say that. They did. Becky was on the, Mrs. Pellis was on the call as well. I couldn't hear you, Mr. Crump, I'm sorry.
Positive from wearing a face.
I'm fine, yes.
Okay, then, at this time, we're going to have hearing of visitors part 1. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak about any item on our agenda tonight. There will also be time at the end of the meeting to discuss any other concerns. We'd like to remind you, you have 5-minute time limit per speaker. And as always, we ask you to give not just your name, but your address. So at this time, we'll have any hearing of visitors.
Mr.
up here to the podium. Thank you.
I'm sorry, where am I directing? Matt Berger, 3.
You're fine.
Right here.
You're fine.
Matt Berger, 3 Sassafras Lane, Township. First, I want to thank you all for your efforts in keeping the schools open up until this point. I know you've all had to make decisions that maybe a year ago you never would have expected. And they're not always popular, and I'm probably going to say some unpopular things tonight. And I apologize for that from the onset here. Regarding the rise in cases, I'm glad it was brought up that this is happening in the prison and in the manor. Sure, there's people that visit the manor, there's workers at the manor, workers at the prison that live in our community, but we're still talking about prisoners closing schools because prisoners are testing positive for a virus. What are we talking about here? They're stressing the numbers, but then they're discounting that they're prisoners locked in cells. Have we lost our minds with COVID? Regarding the contact tracing and whenever there's a student that's identified as being positive and the close contacts, you mentioned that a student in a close contact is shared with the Department of Health. Should I wait?
No.
No, you're fine.
With the Department of Health. And I'm trying to, I don't mean to sound as abrasive or like a jerk as this is going to sound, but what policy are we following here?
We talked about
we're
this,
doing
right?
that? Yes, ma'am, we did. The only policy I was able to find was policy 203. And it deals with communicable diseases. And while no communicable disease is listed there by name, it does talk about the presence being in the building, not a particular student, definitely not a close contact, and that information is supposed to be shared with local authorities, not the State Department of Health. These are the people that come knock on your door and say, you get no income for 2 weeks, you get no income for 2 weeks because you're locked in your house. So I'm wondering what policy is being followed that got us to where we're at today, if there is one.
Mr. Berger, when I had spoken with Mr. Maples about this too, because I had pulled our policies from our board policy and spoken with you, and I don't know, Mr. Maples, if you're able to respond.
What we're following are governor's orders, Department of Health, guidelines, regulations, and orders. If you're saying, can I go into a school district policy and find a specific policy on contact tracing for COVID-19? No, because there was no such thing when the policy was written. In the meantime, though, we've been given a series of orders by the governor, a series of orders by the Department of Health, a series of orders by the Department of Ed, and then a long set of series of guidelines and guidance, it's called, that we're to follow. So that's what we're really following. And if you go to the Department of Ed website and the Department of Health website and the governor's website, you'll see everything relating to COVID-19. And that's what we're really working on right now. I mean,
Yes.
we're just following the guidance, the orders, and the regulations that are handed to us by the state. And you must know this, for better or for worse, however we all feel about it, a school district is an arm of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So we're not actually some totally independent agency that can do whatever we want regardless of what we want to do.
Right, and I've seen some of those orders, regulations, whatever, but they're often worded as recommendations. And whenever we shifted from our color coding to this low, moderate, substantial spread levels, it was listed then as recommendations. So, you know, to say, well, we must because the Department of Health says we're not a substantial county, even though they're isolated populations locked up in prison, that we must follow, well, it seems disingenuous, perhaps. Again, I don't mean to sound abrasive.
You don't.
I'm just trying to maybe, let's think about what we're doing. If we can all, I believe you all agree that having our kids in a brick and mortar school is the best learning environment, provides the best education. If it's not, then we've been doing something wrong for decades, for generations. So why are we going to shortchange our kids? Because the state using numbers that they can't quite, they're numbers and they can't tell us where they're coming from or why one number is weighted the same. A person that's code positive walking around Walmart might be weighted a little, or should be weighted a little bit differently than a prisoner selling 2B at WCP. This is insanity. I know you've sensed some of the same, or I've sensed some of the frustration you felt with dealing with Department of Health and Department of Education. Please don't turn them on us by giving these people our names and phone numbers and saying, well, this kid sat next to so-and-so at school. I just would recommend we don't do that. It just seems like a bad idea.
We need you to wrap up.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Am I done now?
No, you can just wrap up real quick.
No, that's everything. I appreciate your time.
Sorry, thank you.
If I may respond. The meetings that you see us sitting in here, what you're not seeing is the hours we have spent. We met yesterday in an executive session. And I'll tell you, we have every point of view coming out, and we have what I'm going to describe as a healthy discussion. And let me tell you, it's not like we're just sitting here and rubber stamping.
Not at all. That's not my belief at all.
Yeah, what anyone's saying. We are trying to look at it. And while, there may be some in the room that I agree with or don't disagree with, the fact that we have those disagreements are good. It's healthy. It's what we need. Because we all need to hear all opinions. And I think it's healthy that we don't all always agree. Because that's how we learn and we become open to somebody else's point of view. So I just want everybody to know, as a board, we have spent a great deal of time. And our superintendent, her team, I think that's all they've been able to work on, because I don't know how they could find any more time in the day. When we talk about, we're sitting at a meeting and Lori is in the process of answering parents' emails, even during our meeting, in order to get them the most recent information. So I just want everybody to understand the effort that's being made by this administrative team. They've done, in my opinion, a great job.
Sir, and that's why I began my remarks with a thank you, because I know you're all working very hard. And it's because of your efforts that Latrobe School District attracts families here and keeps us here. That we understand that, we get that. I'm just hoping that in hearing from people might inform your decision. Maybe not sway you, but just inform your decision. As you said, the more voices in the room,
Yes.
the better the answers are. So,
Yes.
all right, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
I'd just like to thank Mrs. Pellis for putting this on the front page of our website. Thank you. The tracker. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then I'm going to move for adoption of Resolution 70, the approval of the minutes.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved as reported. Mr. Daigle, Solicitor's Report.
I don't have any report, but I do want to echo what some of the board members are saying about the work that goes on. In answer to your question, all we do is think about this. Every morning about 6:15, when I'm starting to have my coffee, I get a text from my superintendent. This happened, can you give me a call? And that's how we start the day. We agonize over this. We try to balance the safety of our students, the safety of our older staff members, the safety of our custodians, the women that work in the cafeteria and the men that work in the cafeteria. And I just want to say that I've really been proud the last 7 or 8 months to be part of this whole team. It's not something that a solicitor can say often. Usually we're trying to bail people out of problems or prevent some problem, but it's really, from my perspective, been an honor to be part of this whole team through this, and it's going to get better. Thank you.
Mr. Nichols, do you want my 6 o'clock spot? Usually she's got me at 6, and she's at 6:15.
You're funny.
My phone is off. Education and planning, Mrs. Maines.
Yes, thank you. I will move for adoption of resolution number 71 to approve the updated Greater Latrobe School District Phase School Opening Health and Safety Plan for the 2021 school year, and authorize administration to submit the plan to the Pennsylvania Department of Education and post publicly on the district website as required. So moved.
Do I have a second? Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? This resolution passes.
I also move for adoption of resolution number 72 to approve the updated Greater Latrobe School District's continuity of education plan for the 2021 school year, and authorize administration to submit the plan to the Pennsylvania Department of Education and post publicly on the district website as required.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That resolution passes.
As I have done in the past, I'm going to bundle several resolutions that pretty much are approvals. I'm going to bundle resolutions number 73, and I'll go through those quickly. Number 73 is to approve Paula Teacher and Associates Incorporated Contract Agreement for the 2021 school year. 74 is to approve St. Vincent College Bearcat BEST Transition Program for the 2021 school year. Resolution number 75 is to approve Therapy Source Client Agreement for the 2021 school year. Resolution number 76 is to approve an amendment to the agreement for students A and B between Greater Latrobe School District and New Story LLC for the 2021 school year. Number 77 is to approve a transportation plan between Greater Latrobe School District and Westmoreland County Children's Bureau. And resolution number 78 is to approve a memorandum of understanding between Greater Latrobe School District and Westmoreland County Children's Bureau Transportation Procedures Agreement. All of those I move for adoption.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? That motion passes.
I move for adoption of resolution number 79 to approve an MOU between the Greater Latrobe Education Association and the Greater Latrobe School District.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. And lastly, I have...
Wait, hold on. All those, any opposed? That motion carries. Sorry.
I'm sorry, too. I move for adoption of resolution number 80 to approve calendar revisions to the 2021 school calendar.
Second.
You want to say anything about that?
Yes, thank you. The changes on this calendar for November 3rd, Election Day, instruction will be online instruction because of the polling or school buildings being used for the polling places for the election. And also, there was a change in the third quarter report card date.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Dr. Zorch, you might be on mute.
Aye.
I was watching you say aye, so I took that. So,
I'll just give hands for
there you go.
Does that count, Jody? No.
All right, finance, Mr. Hauser.
Thank you. I'd like to bundle motion 81 and 82, treasurer's report and the payment of bills, and move for adoption of those resolutions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
I move for adoption of resolution number 83 to authorize bond refinancing.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments?
I think I'd like to thank Dan and JMS for clarifying the positions we have in finance. You made it pretty clear, so got it down pat and understand completely. So,
Thanks, Bill. And I think that the plan is we'll have him here at the November 10th meeting to provide the details and the figures to the whole board and any of the community members that are here.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That resolution passes.
And I move for adoption of resolution number 84, gifts, grants, and donations. There's a list of them there, but you need to know that they total almost $162,000, which is, to me, that's amazing. I move for adoption of that resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
More importantly, everybody that's within
Yes.
your shot can donate to the Cradle
Right.
Road.
That's where
Partners
you
in
want to send your
Foundation.
money.
Education Foundation, it would be well worthwhile. Whether it's $10 or 10 million, if you can donate to it, it goes only to the school, our school district only, and supports our students, our teachers, and our staff in different ways. Those Chromebooks are all floating around right now to 3,500 and whatever number of kids it is.
3587.
We're pretty much paid for by the grants here. Am I correct or not? I think you're the grants.
Absolutely.
Greater Latrobe. So,
Absolutely.
well, even a thank you note to let them know that they're doing a good job. You can do that for Jessica's office. It's just a fantastic thing that nobody can touch us with. So, thank you very much.
Very proud.
Any other questions or comments?
Can I just add that I think it's so wonderful that I want to remember as a resident that the Partners in Education is doing this amazing program and providing so much directly to our school and our students, backed by an enthusiastic community. It's because the community remembers, and sees what our district is doing, and as one of our guests already said, one of the reasons so many people come to Latrobe is because we offer such an exceptional school district here, and so it's important that we as residents remember that they do the Partners in Education does the hard work, but they can only do it when the community continues to support enthusiastically. So a good place for memorials or gifts that you would maybe buy for a friend or a family member, instead make the donation to Partners in Education, and we keep the community enthusiasm is what keeps it going. So just my little reminder to people like me.
It's a good reminder.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That resolution passes.
Our next finance committee meeting will be Tuesday, November 10th, 5:30 in the high school library. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Mr. Palmer with Facilities, Operations, and Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Passio. I've asked the board to vote on resolution 2020-2021, number 85, to approve proposal for district-wide bipolar ionization system installations with Siemens Industries, Inc.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments?
Can I make a comment?
Of course.
This is an extremely important addition to our school district. And the fact that this virus we're dealing with seems to have some And this piece of machinery without object like turn, make the air or breathe much safer and make our school safe. I hope they can get started as soon as possible before we have to turn the heat on every day and night for us.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes.
Our next facilities operations planning meeting will be on Thursday, November 5th, 3:30 in the Island Building. Thank you, Mr. Wondersen.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Next, we'll have student activities and recreation. I ask you to move on resolution number 86 to approve the updated interscholastic athletic programs, health and safety return, the competition plan, and off-season voluntary workouts for the 2021 school year, and authorize administration to submit the plan to the Pennsylvania Department of Education and post publicly on the district website as required. That's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. Next, I ask for approval of Resolution 87 to approve the 2020-21 winter sports coaches and salaries.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. I ask you to consider resolution number 88 to approve the senior high school reading competition club with the current club's advisor being Mrs. Kimberly Mamerle. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. The next athletic committee meeting will be determined, and when it is, it will be held in the senior high school conference room. Next, we go to Mrs. Maines with community relations.
I have to first start out with a change. There was a case of COVID reported in Latrobe Municipal Building last week, and the building happened to be closed the day we were to hold our GLSD meeting, Parks and Rec meeting. So we are actually holding that meeting, it was to be last week on the 15th, actually this coming Thursday on the 22nd at 4:30 in council chambers in the municipal building. And then this one says that the next one then would be Thursday, November the 19th at 4:30. So
Thank you.
the October meeting will be the 22nd and then 19th for the,
Very good.
keep going?
Would you like to continue with the IU?
I'm sorry. I move for adoption resolution number 89 to authorize the WIU joint purchasing consortium representative and alternate for the 2021 school year.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
I also move for the adoption resolution number 90, grant permission to advertise jointly as a member of the WIU joint purchasing consortium for the 2021 school year.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments? This will require a roll call vote.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mrs. Kozer.
Yes.
Mrs. Maines.
Yes.
Mr. McCollum. Mr. McCollum. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Mr. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Palmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Sorrell.
Yes.
Dr. Zorch.
Yes.
Mr. LaCasio.
Yes.
The next WIU committee meeting
Tuesday, October 27th at 7 p.m. in the Greg Rogers Room of the WAU building. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mrs. Kozar, EWCTC.
Yes, our next CWCTC Joint Operating Committee meeting will be a week from this coming Wednesday on October 28th, 7 p.m. at EWCTC.
Thank you. Mr. Music, Transportation.
Thank you. The Transportation Committee meeting minutes from October 14th are attached to the board today. That is it.
Thank you. Dr. George, board policy.
We have a bunch of policies that need to be revised. This would be resolution number 91. I move to approve the board policy as outlined.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. Thank you, Dr. George. Mr. Palmer, Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Cassio. I'm to report our next technology meeting will be Tuesday, November 10th at 6 p.m. here at the COC. Thank you, Mr. Cassio.
Thank you. At this time, I really don't want to turn it over to the superintendent because this has probably been the longest duration that she's had to just sit and not have to talk or do anything. But unfortunately, it's time for superintendent's recommendations. So, Dr. Tepper, you're up again.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the board to please move on resolution number 92 to approve resignations. And I would like to note that we have several retirements. We have Michelle Brown, who served as a PCA for our district a little bit over 2 years. Pearl Brazili has 19 years of service with our school district, who is retiring. Deborah Conti has been with our school district for 20 years in our food service department. So we would like to congratulate those individuals on their retirement and thank them for their service as well.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
I'd ask the board to please move on resolution number 93 to approve professional personnel substitute teachers as listed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
I'd ask the board to please move on resolution number 94 to approve support personnel classified appointments. And again, we have all three of these individuals as a classroom assistant, a substitute personal care assistant, and a part-time personal assistant, nurse assistant, We are asking you to please approve retroactively to September 22nd for Brenda Russell, September 25th for Jessica Love, and October 12th for Donna Grant.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That resolution passes.
Thank you. I'd ask the board to please move on resolution number 95 to approve support personnel supplemental positions, and this is for a dramatics assistant volunteer, Christian Wedge, and again asking for retroactive approval to October 5th.
Motion on the floor.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
And we have Red Ribbon Week coming up next week, October 26th through the 30th. The end of our first quarter is November 2nd. And we already talked about our calendar change. Just a reminder that we will have virtual parent-teacher conferences on Monday, November 9th for all buildings from 5 to 8 p.m. On Tuesday, November 10th, we will have virtual teacher-parent conferences from 8 to 3:30 for our elementary schools only. And our secondary schools will be on an Act 80 day for professional development on Tuesday, November 10th. Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th, no school. And we continue to have ongoing college virtual visits at our senior high school during lunch and learn on a daily basis. Mrs. Yetter sets those up, and it's a wonderful opportunity for our students who are looking at various colleges or institutions to attend. Just a reminder that in November we have one meeting. That meeting will be a regular board meeting, which will be held Tuesday, November 10th at 7:30 p.m. here in the Center for Student Creativity. Followed by that, I can't even believe I'm looking at December for dates. Reorganization meeting followed by our committee of the whole meeting on Tuesday, December 1st at 7 p.m.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have hearing of visitors part 2. Anyone? Okay, seeing none, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.